Welcome to episode 81 of A to Z Sports Talk. And Zach, it's March. March Madness is literally Selection Sunday 7 days from now,
Yeah,
which
it's
is
next weekend.
so exciting. It's like the best
Very
time of the
exciting.
year. Best time
It
of the
is
year.
the
So
best.
we're going to cover our top three favorites to win it all for this upcoming national tournament. Conference tournament is all the conference tournaments are happening this week. A couple bids have already been locked up. I know Farley Dickinson and Drake, and I think it's UNC
SEMO.
Asheville. SEMO made it. That was kind of a surprise
Hmm.
for sure. Um, yeah, so we got a couple already that have made the tournament there, and then here in St. Louis, it's pretty exciting right now. As our soccer team is 2-0, so that's that's been a lot of fun. And then we're going to cover a little bit of what the Cardinals have been doing in spring training, and then we have four positions left, I believe, on our baseball list. Left field, center field is for this episode. But before we get anything going, I'm going to let Zach take a quick sip of his water there, and then I'm going to
Gosh,
ask him,
thirsty.
"How you doing, Zach?"
I'm doing pretty good. Excited it's March. Very excited it's March. Greatest month of the year.
Mm-hmm.
You got March Madness, greatest tournament ever, greatest like 3 weeks. You got s- baseball starts this month, end of the month. That's exciting.
Very.
See Jordan Walker in the starting day lineup. Um, What else is there? Oh, the I know you're not a golf person, but the players golf tournaments next week and
Mm-hmm.
here in Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm.
Very excited. Going on Saturday. Me and Kaylee went to the store yesterday because it was open at public. Went to the course, went to the shop, spent some money on some gear. But it was awesome. A lot of fun. Got to walk a little bit around, not super far around, just look at one of the holes, the island hole green, and tee box. That was cool. Excited for that. But yeah, and the combine happened too. It's like a
Mm-hmm.
lot of sports going on.
A lot. I always feel like March and October are the 2 months of the year where it's just like there's a whole lot going on. Because even in the NHL and in NBA, both seasons are coming down to the last 15 games or so here. So there's
Hmm.
a lot going on. But I was gonna say, as you were talking about golf, you said you spent some money and had a little grin on your face there. Golf is one of those sports you can't like soccer or um even basketball. You can kind of make it cheap.
Yeah.
Golf is one of those, a lot of things like go into it, so it's not
Yeah, like if
one of
you
those.
like starting off, you just need to get someone to like hand you like hand me down clubs or get them at a garage sale to start off. And if you like it, buy some. But golf balls are expensive, but you can find a lot of golf balls on the course, I will say.
That's true, that's true. And then you have, obviously, you need a course really to play on, or you need
Yeah.
some kind of driving range or something, or a woods or
Hmm.
something, unlike soccer where you can just kick around with friends and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Or basketball, you just
um
shoot outside your house.
exactly, or even
But
just dribble, or yeah.
yeah, I love golf clothes though.
Hmm.
I don't know, they're just always so nice.
for
But
for the look of them, or for the feel, the
kind of both.
comfortable.
Uh they're always so nice. I like the polos. Got t-shirts too. They're actually drying right next to me on a chair.
Right
Me and
on.
Kaylee both got t-shirts. Yeah, it's just you just walk in the store and it's just a huge like tent, but enclosed, and it's just merchandise everywhere. It's awesome.
And I'm sure you got some good courses down there in Florida too that you could
Oh yeah, there's a lot.
probably find for sure. But we do have, or did you see it before all those things that I mentioned? And then mine, I feel like has to be. I wrote it down here. I usually let you go first with everything, but I already had it written down. Let me, of course, it's taking me forever to pull it up. I thought I
Can
had it
you
right
find it?
there. You go first. Let me pull it
Okay.
up. Let me pull it up.
So this happened, I think, yeah, I didn't say this on our last episode, but a couple days ago, Louisville was playing a game, and at halftime they had a frisbee dog, which if you're at a basketball game and they have a frisbee dog at as the halftime performance, it's honestly one of the best halftime performances. But this dog, after running a little bit, got its stomach moving, and yeah, it took a dump right on the floor. So that was funny. And Louisville's 4-25, so it really just kind of it just depicted their whole
Kind of
season.
sums up their whole season.
Yes. Uh Another one is one of our amazing prospects, Mason Wynn. We'll get to the other prospect here. We all know who it is. But Mason Wynn's also having a crazy good spring, and he had a 99.9 mile an hour throw from short to first, and he had a 435-foot home run. That was the same game whenever he did that. I feel like I may have something else. Um, oh, this one's crazy. Pistol Pete, he's the NCAA leading scoring uh leader holder, whatever. He scored 3,667 points in 83 games over 3 years. If you took the nation's top 83 single game scoring performances in the last 3 years, 2020 to 2021, 2021 to 2022, 2022 to 2023, you'd have a combined 3,465 total points. That is ridiculous. So, like, the top 83 scoring performance, so like the most points scored per game, the top 83 of those would not equal his. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's crazy. Yeah, he averaged, I think, like almost 40 points a game in
Mm-hmm.
college, which is ridiculous. And then another one, I have two more. Uh, Max Scherzer and the pitch clock. He came set and he had a long hold, and then he made the batter take time, and then he got immediately set. And he used his only timeout, so he couldn't use it again. So then, right when he got in the box, he threw one, like a 96 mile an hour fastball, and the guy swung and missed.
Uh-huh.
And then my last one, the NFL Combine. My favorite time of year whenever the combine's on, because it really doesn't mean that much, but NFL teams, like a guy can go like be a fifth round pick and then go in the combine and run a 4.4 and be a first round pick. And for me, that is Anthony Richardson, who literally sucked in college, had really good 40 time, threw the ball far, wasn't even maybe a late first round pick. Now people are projecting to be the first overall pick.
I know.
Doesn't make sense. And then this was crazy, a defensive end from Georgia. He ran like a 4.39 and he's like 250 pounds. There's some freaks out there.
Yeah, the Anthony Richardson thing is interesting because that's true. You look at his stats at Florida. He started off really good. Then they have like a big upset earlier in the year.
I think
Um,
so.
there was some big game that kind of I
They
feel like
beat
not put his.
Utah.
No, that's what it was. That's what it was. Yeah, and yeah, he's been rising like crazy. You said possibly first overall pick, and I keep seeing that around like articles that I'm reading too.
Like his
Which
physique is crazy in athletic ability, but quarterback, you got to be able to make good decisions.
yeah, definitely. And speaking of like combine and draft and stuff like that, I did finally, while you were talking, find mine, and it's the Connor Bedard sweepstakes because it's starting to get pretty interesting here. And I had to do some research on how the lottery works, and it's the same thing. I should have known. It's the same thing as like the NBA is,
Mm-hmm.
where half the league that's not in the NBA, not in the playoffs is in the lottery, and so it's like a percentage thing. Obviously, if you're the worst team record wise, you have the better odds, whatever.
Yeah.
So here in St. Louis, it's been a long year, but it is kind of exciting that we're in the sweepstakes here. So you look at the standings right now. Columbus is in last place. Chicago would be second. San Jose third. Ducks fourth. Coyotes fifth. Canucks sixth. Canadians seventh. Flyers eighth, and us, the St. Louis Blues, currently at ninth. But you look at 6 through 9 here between Vancouver, Montreal, Philadelphia, and us. It's only a 4 point difference, so a 2 game
Mm.
difference in between them, which means we beat the Sharks the other night like 6-3, and I was just like please just like
Yeah.
tank all the way, just
Healthy
throw it all
scratch
in.
Thomas and Kyrou.
Yes, exactly, exactly. So it's very interesting though. I think Columbus, obviously they have the worst team in hockey. I think they obviously have the best odds here, even going for the rest of the year. But I think my thing is I just don't want Chicago to get it. Chicago's had their amazing
Mm.
runs, and I don't want them to get all like Columbus is always bad. Columbus, if they have
I don't know.
Bedard,
Columbus, isn't there like good defenseman hurt?
and I mean
Zelinski,
they yeah, and they
and they
got
got Johnny Gaudreau.
exactly. Exactly. I mean, they got pieces. They definitely have pieces. It's definitely been a disappointing year for them.
Yeah,
But you look at someone like San Jose, like we're not going to have to deal with them a whole lot.
yeah,
Chicago's kind of a rival as well. You don't want to see that. Um, but there's really four picks, and I don't know the names off the top of my head, but
yeah.
there's four. The top four are like generational guys, and after that it gets pretty good, and then obviously as it keeps going, it
Yeah.
gets worse and worse. But those top four are generational guys. So if you can find a way, let's say we get to the sixth worst record here, you have great odds of sneaking in the
Mhm.
top four and making something happen. So it's pretty miserable to watch right now, though, man.
I say
Like
trade our first round pick in Pareko for number one overall. I'm sure every team would do that.
we'd have to do it in
Uh,
the any type of deal in the off season now. Trade deadline's passed, and we kind
mm.
of but there's a lot of stuff like draft night trades that happen a lot. So we could definitely
I've
be on
seen
the look
stuff
there,
that
but
our defense is very bad, and
it's
they're all
very
locked
bad.
up for a really long time.
Yep.
So that's great.
That's great. Yes. We're not in a and we're in a spot where it's a weird middle. I've mentioned this before on here. It's a weird middle spot that we're in because we have young talent like Kyron
Hmm.
Thomas, but we don't have like a bunch of them. We just have two guys, and then we have a lot of pieces that can fit on championship rosters. Falk,
Yeah,
Pareko, Krug. So it's just a weird and our general manager Armstrong this week said he doesn't think this is going to be a 1 year turnaround. He thinks we'll be competitive next year, but he thinks this is going to be several years of like
yeah.
it's just awful. Like we've never in you and
Hmm.
I lifetime we have never had to deal with something like this. So
Yeah.
fun.
Really, and well, I
But
guess I was gonna say any St. Louis sports team, but then I was like, the Rams. But
yeah. We like I mentioned at the beginning, it is March though, and I feel like we can't talk about anything else first besides college basketball because we haven't talked a whole lot of college basketball
hmm.
recently on here. So I want to hear your top three favorites
Oh
for
God.
the national tournament here because
Um,
every year we're always like, oh, like there's going to be upsets like crazy. But this year it's like every top seed is losing every single Saturday.
yeah. So a team that I've always liked that I think people would consider them a top like team to win it or one of their top teams, but I just don't think they're going to is Purdue just because they're so reliant on Edie, I believe, to just dominate. And if he gets in foul trouble, you're screwed. So, mm, this is tough. I'm kind of looking at the rankings right now. I'll be honest, I didn't see this until recently, but I think,
That I put it in there.
yeah, I feel like I don't a couple of these teams I just don't want to say as favorites.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Alabama's low key a favorite because they've been playing really good, even though their whole situation is very weird and I don't want them to do good. Um, there's one team that should be in, but we're a St. Louis podcast, and I'm not going to mention that team. And they lost yesterday to Texas. Oh man, I would say I bet a team that's kind of going under the radar is UCLA. I didn't realize they were doing that good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but they're doing. Did they win? Did they beat Arizona last night?
Yes, I believe so. It was that late night game.
Yeah, it was at like 10 o'clock. Oh yeah, not watching that. Let me look real quick.
I'm pretty sure they did.
I personally don't. I think Houston's going to be kind of like, uh, yeah, they beat Arizona. I think Houston's going to be, no offense, like Gonzaga. They didn't really play
Oh,
anyone. I think they're not going
mm.
to win. I think, man,
Purdue. You mentioned Purdue at the very beginning. Purdue
I
is
like
that
Purdue.
team that I really like them too. If they last year was the chance I thought with Jaden Ivey They don't have that
Yeah,
like lead guard now. They rely a
yeah.
lot on Zach Edey.
I do I do like hmm. I do like I watched the Texas game yesterday, the second half, so I'm very recency bias, but they just have a lot of like solid players all around. I think they could have a good run. Also Baylor, like they've obviously done it recently, and I just
Yep.
their play style with guards that can just score in bunches is um always exciting. Um Trying to see what kind of what the I'm looking at like a bracketology right now, kind of seeing what they're projecting at for teams to be. Uh Marquette's projected a 2 seed. I didn't realize they were,
They've
my
been
God, they're ranked
like,
sixth.
yeah, I know. They've been sneaking up all year long, just slowly.
But there's a lot of teams that I think a lot of teams can make a run. Baylor, Arizona, no, they always are
I
hyped
don't.
up and then they never do anything.
I
We
agree.
obviously
I
we know
don't trust them.
Gonzaga isn't doing anything. Um uh Kansas State, like they've been solid. Tennessee, they've been up and down. Virginia's style of basketball is just so boring. It's just so
So
defense
boring.
and no offense. I don't know if they can do it. Uh Low key Miami's pretty good. They got some guys who can just score. I don't want them to win, but
Mm-hmm.
they've been really good. I guess you got to put Marquette in there too. Like the Big East is really good and solid, but I don't know. What are your teams? I'm just kind of rambling, just saying a lot of top teams.
Yeah, well, it's the year where it's like 1 through 14 where you can make a case honestly for everyone. Like I'm gonna give you my three here in a second. I will say a team like Gonzaga, I don't think we're gonna make it even to like
No,
a lead. I don't think we're even gonna make an elite eight. But this would be somebody told me this, and I thought this was interesting. Is this the year they do it though? Because it's like there's not that pressure. They don't have the. I don't think so. I don't think so at all.
no,
But it's like this is the year they don't have any pressure. Nobody's really talking about them,
but they're
which
not
in
good.
they're not. They're not. They just they've had so many. There's so many inconsistencies with them. They don't have those lead guards. I like Bolton. I like Hickman a lot, but they don't have the Jalen Suggs, Nigel Williams, Goss, those type of guards. And then Drew Timmy is great offensively, but if he runs into any type of physical big, he is in
Any
so much
guys
trouble.
taller than them, which there's a lot of big teams.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
Also, what makes me sad is on Marquette, they have a player, Oliver Maxence Prosper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, where he played his freshman year?
We're
Clemson.
at
Yeah, that's sad.
uh
He's averaging 12 points a game, so that'd have been nice to have.
Marquette's sneaky, very sneaky.
Yeah.
But
I
my
also
top
think,
three,
yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, so my top three favorites for the title, two really all three of them I really don't care for. But my number one favorite is UCLA. I think they're a complete team. I think they have experience. I don't think the Pac-12 um, is the by any means the best conference to play in.
No.
I think obviously we would all agree Big 12 is
Oh, without a
insanely
doubt.
ridiculously good. But UCLA has Jaime Jaquez and what is the Tiger Campbell, both
Yeah.
of them with extreme experience. And I keep forgetting that guard that they got and through the he's a freshman, but
Uh-huh.
I can never remember his name. He played with
Oh, Amar
Bronny at
Bailey.
Bailey, yes. So I mean, they have the young youth there, and then they have the veteran guys there. My number two is the team that won it last year, and you mentioned how we don't want to mention their name on here, but Kansas has great talent and great experience from last year. But not only last year, I mentioned the Big 12. They have played insanely tough games all year long, and so I feel like they have to be up there. And then honestly, my number one favorite until these last couple weeks was Alabama. And I'm going to put them at the spot because I still believe they have a tremendous coach in Nate Oates
Mhm.
and Brandon Miller. I talked about him like 2 months ago when he played Gonzaga and dropped 40. He is like NBA ready now, and he's a freshman. And so I just think they're so talented. And I have them as another favorite in there. But seriously, man, 1 through 15. Like, would you be surprised if a TCU or a Texas or one of those Big 12 Baylor made a
Oh, any
huge
of the
run?
Big 12 schools, they've played like everyone. A
Mhm.
team that there's a couple teams that are haven't been amazing this year, but have a lot of talent. Like I think I like Creighton a lot. I think they're good.
Mhm.
And then another team is Kentucky. I think Kentucky can
Yes.
just get hot and just win it all. Um, I think another team, where did they go? Indiana's pretty good this year. Mizzou's projected as a 6th seed, so
Yeah. Yeah.
Mizzou's gonna hopefully make a little run.
I really like the
Also
Kentucky.
Arkansas. Arkansas has got like 3 5-star recruits this year. I don't know what's been going on with them, but
Hmm.
they've not been
So I
amazing this
watched their
year.
game against Kentucky yesterday, and Kentucky was without Severe Wheeler and the other guard, Wallace, I believe his name was.
Mm,
And they had a guy, Antonio Reeves, that dropped 37 on Arkansas. And Arkansas is, yeah, they're a tricky team. They've been really up and down all year. I do love that Kentucky take though, because obviously Player of the Year last year in Sheboy. You
hmm
got star guards.
She weighs like awful at defending. I'm pretty sure pick and rolls.
Yes, no, yeah, he's kind of undersized. Like he's very strong, but when it comes to
Mm,
height, like they're gonna have if they play like a Purdue somewhere deep in the tournament, they'd have to have some group effort against a guy like Edie.
okay, I'm gonna get a little rant in right now. One thing that's really ticking me off is how Clemson isn't even in like we're like the second next 4 out. We're the 3 seed in the ACC. I know the ACC is down. We've beaten Duke, who's projected to be a 5 seed. We've beaten NC State twice, who's projected to be an 8 seed by double digits. We beat Pitt. We should be in. We just got to win a couple games. So
We had some bad
I've never
losses
seen the
thrown in there.
Clemson get a double bye in the ACC. We have a double bye because we have the 3 seed. So
We
it's
had some
annoying.
bad losses thrown in there. That has to be it, right?
Like yes, we lost to South Carolina. Uh we lost to Iowa. South Carolina, we didn't have PJ Hall, our best player.
Mhm.
Iowa, he was coming back. Then we had who did we lose to that was really bad? We had a really bad loss early. It was
Yeah,
early in the season.
wasn't
And then
like
we did lose
Loyola
to
or something
Louisville.
like that.
Yep. Louisville shot really good and beat us. That was their fourth win of the
Ooh,
year.
that's a bad one.
But how about you focus on our wins? That's all I gotta say. It's
But no,
dumb.
man, it starts 1 week from today. The
Well, selection
selection
Sunday.
show, yeah, and
Yeah.
then 2 days of or it is Monday off. I always forget the schedule. Is Monday off and then
Yeah,
Tuesday,
it's like
Wednesday
Tuesday
is
and
play.
Wednesday are the first four.
Hmm. So that'll be all the Farley Dickinsons and Drakes and all those teams
SEMO
celebrating right
probably.
now that they're in there. Those teams.
Yeah.
But no, I'm excited for this week of conference tournaments. I think it's going to be interesting to kind of see um, schools like in the A10, like SLU has a chance to win that conference tournament. That's the one team I'm
Yeah.
really obviously cheering for there. But there's a lot of schools like keep an eye on throughout this week in the conference tournaments
Hmm.
because this is a huge week of like injuries could happen, but also who gets hot
Yeah.
um during these weeks. Because if you see like a big name school like a Tennessee or something get knocked off really quick on their tournament, and then they have a whole week and a half off, things could get kind of tricky there. So, and it's also a
Yeah.
great week of kind of like not only improving but making a huge statement about
Hmm.
um your team, and kind of like big wins are happening this time of year, that type of thing. I'm having an awful time finding my words today.
Yeah.
I have a like I have them all right here and I'm having a hard time getting them out.
You can do it.
We can move on to our first ever MLS conversation here on the
Yeah.
pod, but we have to. Like, how can we
Yeah.
not? St. Louis City is 2-0. We had our first home game. We didn't get to talk about the home opener, the first game of the year.
Hmm.
But what have you thought so far of City?
So I watched a little bit of the first game because it was free on Apple TV. Kind of tuned in a little bit. It looked first off, I think MLS is the popularity is kind of going.
Mhm.
is like through the roof because the
Mhm.
first game was in Austin and that stadium was packed. And then obviously last night when our first home game, it looked ridiculous. They had the board you hold up to like make something and they spelled out like for oh god, what was it? All for City. And they kind of had like the St. Louis flag um all around. It was like so cool. The atmosphere was ridiculous.
Mhm.
And it was packed. And they had a bunch of watch parties throughout St. Louis and St. Louis County at different bars and stuff. So that's awesome. I will say, do you know if you can watch it on Bally Sports?
So that's something I'm pretty fired up about. I'm glad you brought that up because no, you can't. I
You
don't
can't.
believe so. I don't think so.
I know they will MLS will have like one game a week on like Fox on the weekend,
Hmm.
but I don't think I'm gonna buy the MLS season pass on Apple TV.
No, and so that's one thing is like I looked for next week's match and it's against the Portland Timbers. And I believe it's on the free
It's one of
part
those
of
free
the
ones.
yes.
Okay.
Because I'm sitting here getting fired up all day for the city
Yeah.
match. And I look and you have to pay like a $15 or
Yeah, it's
whatever monthly
$15
subscription.
for the whole season, which is a little to me a little dumb. I hate all these streaming things. Just put it on cable.
I
Even
will
though that's
say,
also another thing we need to talk about when MLB is Bally Sports is going like bankrupt. They're
mhm,
so like that's going to screw over the Cardinals because we have the highest rating on cable network, and you get like a share of the profit. And then if that happens, then I think MLB is going to take over everything, and then so we'll lose. I don't know. It's crazy. We'll probably have to pay like
yeah.
$30 to watch an MLB game, and all of them will be blacked out.
I will say that the one thing I really like about Apple TV, and I don't know if it's because of Apple TV or if it's just the MLS, but the quality of the video,
Hmm.
like while I'm watching the matches, is like really good. Like it's really
Yeah,
clear. I don't know if that's an Apple thing or if that's just how it is. But it's like I'm fighting myself now that we have a team. I'm trying to learn about teams like Columbus and Seattle and like
yeah.
other teams. I want to know so
I need to
how
learn
to
just
prepare.
players on our team. I know Kloss is our striker.
Yes.
He's kind of thinning up on top, but he looks cool.
Uh-huh.
He had
Yep.
his goal against Austin was dirty, where he just kind of
Oh,
tipped it with his right
yeah.
foot and it curled in.
So
Mm,
nice. So nice. Yeah. They had a really bad what's the guy that went to SLU here? Kippy Keller? Kip Keller, something like that.
maybe.
He was teammates with Johnny Klein whenever he had Johnny on
Hmm.
the show here, but he's the one who turned it over at Austin. He was playing for Austin on defense
Oh,
and
really?
turned it over. That was him.
Thanks,
Yeah, and
buddy.
I
He
saw
knew what he was
all
doing.
these yeah, exactly. All these comments were like once a Billiken, always a Billiken.
Yeah. That's
I was
awesome.
laughing so hard. But no, it's been super fun having a team here.
The stadium looks awesome.
Yes. And actually something cool. So from my high school, I had a guy that graduated, I guess, 2 years. Was it two? Yeah, 2 years before me. He was just hired as City's second team. So really like their minor league team, pretty much
Like they're
their
yeah.
development team. Johnny Klein is actually on that team, but he back to the guy that I graduated with,
Hmm.
or 2 years before me from my high school. He is the head trainer now for that team.
That's
So I
cool.
thought that was kind of cool. I kind
Yeah,
of
that is
got
cool.
a way in there.
Yeah.
I know a somebody who's in the business there. But no, yeah, he was the trainer for Liberty Division 1 soccer, and then
Uh-huh. Oh, that's
now he's in
cool.
there. So that's pretty dope. But no, Johnny Klein's on that team,
Uh-huh.
and then um there was somebody else, some other connection I have with that team. But I didn't think I would be this because I've never been a huge soccer guy. I didn't think I'd
Hmm.
be this fired up for it, but I'm like all in
Soccer's really
because
fun to watch.
them right now, along with the Battlehawks who lost today, but they're 2-1.
Also,
Um,
the like XFL games, like the Defenders Stadium, when I saw a clip of it, it looked like the crowd was pretty packed.
mhm,
And I think
yeah,
our home game next week for the Battlehawks, they started selling tickets for the upper deck. So if this stadium is packed like completely full, that'll be
yes,
awesome.
yes. I saw they started. Yeah, they started selling the ones for the 300 section 300s or whatever.
Hmm.
Dang, that's kind of crazy. It's so crazy.
Yeah, it'd
Gotta
be
get
awesome.
hopefully gotta get an NFL team back here someday. Yeah.
I know.
You
I
think we'll
don't.
see it in our lifetime?
I hope so. I don't know where we'd have to get one. I hope the Chargers move here.
Hmm. Justin Herbert.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
If he's still
I
here.
think they get way more fans here than in LA. They
Yes.
don't have
Yeah.
any fans. All the San Diego fans are so mad that they left. They don't care.
No. And I would say I don't know this for a fact, but I would say the majority of LA fans would probably be Rams fans anyway, because they were there
A lot of
before. So
LA
they
fans
have
are Raiders fans.
mm, that yeah, that's true actually. There's a lot of Raiders fans actually.
There's a lot.
Like Raiders fans travel
Mhm.
everywhere. They're like the one of those diehard fan
I
bases.
honestly, Cowboys and Raiders fans are, there's a ton of them.
Hmm.
I don't know if
I'm getting
that
off. I'm getting off topic here, but
we're getting very off topic.
who's like the worst? Who's like the who do you think has there's probably a stat for it, but the least fans, the that don't
Oh,
travel
Chargers and
whatsoever.
Rams, without a doubt.
You think it's both of them?
Every
Over
time you go to
like,
their watch their stadium, it's the other team is like dominating.
you know who
Or
popped in
maybe
my
the
head? It was like the Commanders or something. The like
yeah,
Washington.
or the Jags too. It's not like we're a newer team, the Texans. Like we're like 90s franchise.
Yeah.
But I
Jags
think the
was one of those
Jaguars are
teams.
getting a lot of popularity because obviously we're playing good now.
Definitely. That those were the Jags were was one of those teams where when people were talking about a team coming to St. Louis, I know that was a big
Hmm.
thing. But there's no way now. You guys are
No.
really starting to gain some traction down there for sure.
Yeah. The the Panthers kind of
Mm-hmm.
because back to MLS, the popularity. Atlanta and Charlotte, their opening matches, Charlotte, they both had like the biggest crowds in MLS history. Like Charlotte, they play in their football stadium. They had 69,000 people there for their soccer game. I know for a fact they did not have that many people there for football.
No.
In Atlanta, they sold out their dome. It was like 60 some thousand. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if the Falcons had brought out that many people either. So it's pretty crazy. And then we get the
And
World
interest.
Cup coming up here soon. So like popularity is growing. And I've seen I saw something. I don't even know if it's true. I don't know what website, but it was saying in I don't know how many years they project the MLS to be one of like the bigger leagues in the world, which would be cool.
It's dope. That's dope. I mean, when we talk about talent level, comparing it to other leagues, it's definitely. I mean, I think a buddy that I have that follows it really hard. He said it's probably like sixth or something like that when it comes to just pure talent of
A
leagues. But
six?
you look, what's that?
Wait, what'd you say?
Like the MLS would be like the sixth most
Oh, sixth.
talented
I thought you just
league.
said like there's six. I'm like, what does a
Oh
six
no,
mean?
no. So I'm looking at a team like I was watching the LAFC yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
and they were comparing to a bunch of other clubs around the world, and how they think that team can compete against a bunch of teams from around the world. So just
Mm-hmm.
that alone, I feel like you're going to see a bunch of other players want to transfer
Yeah.
over and play here.
Well, also you kind of know that we're not the best whenever our all-star game is our all-stars facing like Real Madrid.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true. I didn't think about that. Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, but no, man,
Just gotta
I've really enjoyed it. The only thing I'm having a hard time with, besides not being able to, hopefully that was just like a one time thing with the subscription on
Mhm.
Apple, but also I want to watch in person so bad, and I'm looking at
Yeah,
tickets, and people have gone so crazy that it's like almost $200 for a tick for just one
really.
ticket. I'm looking at like I was looking at FC Cincinnati about a month from now, and it's like $195 for a ticket.
That's
And I'm like,
crazy.
I do
What
really
you
like
gotta
that
do
it's
is
like,
just go down there, go around the stadium, then like right before kickoff, buy one off StubHub and walk in.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I really like that it's, and I didn't know MLS worked like this, but I really like how it's kind of like the NFL, where if you look at ahead for City's schedule, we have two matches out of like the next 10 that are not at 7:30 p.m. Central on a Saturday
Hmm.
night. So it's kind of interesting like that. I didn't think MLS worked like that, where Literally every single game is scheduled for the exact same time. Besides like one
Really?
match we have like at 8:30 p.m. Central. Yeah,
Oh wow.
I know. Pretty crazy. We haven't talked a whole lot about spring training so far happening, but the Cardinals, I believe they're like 4-3, but
Something like
re-
that.
record's kind of whatever. But you
Yeah.
mentioned at the beginning the big boys here.
Jordan Walker.
Oh man, he's special, man. He's so good, so good.
I his video of his one of his home runs yesterday, or one of his two home runs yesterday. I was watching the video, and then I was showing Kayla the video, and then after that, I just sat there and watched it like 10 times by myself with the sound full on though, just to hear the crack of the bat.
Uh huh. Yeah, so I think the updated stats like he's like 7 for 14 or something like that with two homers,
I no, I think he's nine
or
for
three,
18.
and I think he has three homers actually too. Yeah,
Yeah, his first game or one of his first games he did.
he's making a case that he deserves to be on that opening day roster, and that would mean somebody's not going to make it. And I don't know who that somebody is. I think we all have a name in mind, and he's was our shortstop for the last few years, but I don't know because he's not been playing bad either. Paul DeYoung's been swinging the bat okay. It's
Oh,
always
I thought you
been
were talking about person in the outfield who would not be starting.
who's that? Who are you thinking?
Carlson.
Oh, Carlson. I was thinking just off the roster. Paul
But
DeYoung is off the roster.
they may have Walker play DH too.
Exactly.
Hit DH.
Exactly. Hmm. And that means like I haven't looked at I haven't seen a whole lot of Yepes so far this spring, but he's
He's
one guy.
4 for 15, 267 average.
Okay. Burleson's one that has caught my eye. He's 4 for 12, I believe now. And
Gomez
Gorman's
has
been
been hitting
swinging.
good.
And yeah, Gomez is another guy. He's been hitting solid well as
I'd
well.
honestly call
So
Gomez up before Burleson. That guy just hits bombs.
mhm. Yeah. I mean, ideally, O'Neill, Newtbar, and Carlson do their jobs great. And then all we
Hmm.
have to worry about is DH. But all three of those guys have stuff to prove. So
Hmm.
odds are one of them is probably not gonna show out right off the bat, which means Jordan Walker, Yepes, not please no Yepes in the outfield. We experienced enough
No,
of that
no, no,
last
no, no,
year.
no.
And I'm sure Gomez just gives me that because of his build that he is not a great outfielder either. Um, Walker, I think, is a great athlete. All of us could agree
I
with
think
that.
he's going to
But
be a good outfielder once
the
he
only thing that
learns
worries
more.
about the only thing that worries me is that he's literally Stanton's build now, and I'm so afraid of him like pulling a muscle or doing something in the outfield. Just go up there and rake for us.
Yes.
You also mentioned Mason Wynn. Is there a shot
Hmm.
that Mason Wynn makes the team out of spring?
I don't think so. I think our middle infield's pretty locked up with Tommy, Brendan Donovan. Then you got Nolan Gorman up there too. I think keep Mason down and just have him work on making his or uh continues to improve his hitting. And then I think when he comes up, it could be next year, honestly.
It's
Uh,
unbelievable.
which is
Or like a
ridiculous because
September
then
call up or something.
I don't know what you're doing. It's a
It's
good
yeah.
problem to have, but I think you have to look to trade at least one or two of Yepes, Gomez, and Burleson,
Hmm.
and maybe even throw in DeYoung or someone in there.
I
Just to,
completely agree because they're all similar.
mhm.
Besides DeYoung, like those
They're
three
not
guys
great
are
defenders
so
at
similar.
all. They just hit.
Mhm. It depends on what you want. Do you want more power? Because you can get that from Yepes and Gomez, or do you want more just absolute like Burleson's one of those guys that'll bat 310 with 20 homers, but Gomez and Yepes have 30 homer
Hmm.
capabilities. That it's like what do you really want from there? I
Yeah.
think the biggest thing so far in spring for me is that we have some bullpen decisions to be made. Zach Thompson and Jake Woodford were complete surprises last
Uh-huh.
year when it comes to how good they were. Lutos is a guy that's been pitching for us this spring that has a chance. He's like 6'5".
Who's the guy we got in the Rule 5 draft who has to play, who has to be on the roster?
So it's Rodriguez, and it's like Winsky or something like that. His
Mhm.
name starts with a W. But I watched him today. His first guy he hit in the neck with 98 miles per hour. So
Nice. I like it. Him and
we got
Hennessy's get along.
yeah,
They
we got a
just go
right-handed
kill people.
Hennessis. I really like Hennessis, and I'm
Yeah.
glad you brought him up because he was the next guy I was going to discuss here. Is like I think Hennessis had one really bad outing in Colorado last year, and then had lost some confidence, and it all went downhill quick.
Hmm.
I know he's a wild, but I think he can use that still, and I think he can still be a great piece in our bullpen.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think he'll be good, but I do think we should use like depth is good to have, but I think you can use some of that depth to get um some people to help you where we're weak, which is pitching. I think starting pitcher and even maybe some bullpen help too. I don't know if you want to get like a young guy. For starting pitcher, I prefer a guy who's kind of solidified himself.
Mhm.
I know Glass now has been thrown out there. I don't know if
He's
we'll
out
get
like
him. He's
six
also
to eight
injury
weeks.
prone.
He's hurt right now.
Oh yeah, never mind then. Uh, I've been like thinking of people to trade for. I re-downloaded MLB The Show the other day.
Mm.
Someone upgraded the roster so they're like the right. I did that. I mean, first thing I did trade for starting pitcher. I traded for. I know this won't happen because it's a young pitcher from Marlins like Jesus Lorardo. He's really young and really good. Traded for him. So hey, Cardinals, maybe trade for him. I think I gave up DeYoung, Yepes, and someone else, and like Libertor because
Yeah, I mean, we don't have a lot rides on Jack Flaherty. I think that's what we're going to probably be
yeah.
saying all year long. And health, like Michaelis has looked really dominant this spring, actually.
Mhm.
That brings me to my next point: is do you think this World Baseball Classic coming up is going to be beneficial or negative? For because we are tied for the most
Oh, I
players
think it's
in it.
beneficial. I think our guys will be ready to go for the season. Like, and it'll give them experience in high leverage games, which,
Mm-hmm.
as we've seen in our last postseason games, we cannot hit to save our lives in them. So maybe some experience in the big moments, because I think the atmospheres in these games are going to be kind of more really ridiculous and imitate that of like postseason play.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be beneficial. I think the only negative I could possibly see from it is they're going to be using a lot of energy for these games, and will it
Hmm.
catch up at the very end of the year? And that's when I can't.
Yeah.
That's when it comes in is our depth. You can't just ride out Arenado and Goldie 160 162 games. Give them 10 games off throughout the year, and make sure they're right because we're gonna win this division. I there's
If
no
we
way we
lose
don't.
this division,
There's no way we don't. Our offense alone is going to win so many games. I know all around
pitching scares me to death.
it scares me too. And all around, like when we talk about top notch pitching, I give it to the Brewers. But I would almost take every positional player we have over what the
Oh
Brewers
yeah.
have.
I the other thing is our pitching, like we don't have the strikeout guy, but our defense is so good that it helps a ton.
Mhm.
But I just want that one strikeout guy.
I know.
Even
You've been
if it's
saying that for
like
like 2 years now.
just like a starter, which it could be Flaherty, but he's been hurt, or just like another guy in the bull. Like I guess Helsley's been that guy, unless we have a lot of strikeout guys in the bullpen. But I don't know, just that one starter where you're just, which Scherzer would have been nice to have, but it's
Very, very
fine.
much so. So we have our top 10 left fielders and center fielders for 2023. Let's start with left field. And all around, this is might be our the worst
I think
position to
so.
rank.
It's
It's pretty
bad.
bad. It's pretty bad.
Thank goodness we had to add Juan Soto join the left fielder
I
list
know.
because
I
I
know.
was I was looking at my number one and I'm like, okay.
I know. It's Soto and everybody else. We could have put like a Schwarber and Jordan on there, but I agree we should have. You and I agreed we should put them on the DH list. There, that's more
Hmm.
respectable for what they're going to do. So my number 10 is low key. I feel like one of your favorite players in baseball. Michael Brantley is coming in at my number 10 spot, and I think the age is finally. I think he's starting to slow down because
Yeah.
for many years he was top seven. Yeah, I think he only had 5 homers last year in limited time of playing. He had like 8 homers the year before that and like 120 games. That dude just hits though, man. I mean, he's always
Mhm.
285, 300, and I think he still deserves to be on the top 10 left fielders list because if you put anybody, he's you've got to be pretty bad to not make this list. Let's be
Yeah,
real.
honestly, yeah. Uh, yeah. So my number 10 is a guy who had like a pretty solid year last year. Jerkson Profar. Batted 243, 15 homers, 58 RBIs, 331 on base, 3.1 WAR. His second is his best, one of his best years by far. Uh, I think he was even like their leadoff batter for San Diego, which I never really got, or he batted like third, which never made sense to me, but whatever. But just like a solid hitter that he'll produce really well. I guess not really know he produced. That was by far one of his best years, but he's solid. Um, I don't know how his fielding was. I'm trying to find his fielding. His fielding was decent. He had two defensive runs saved, but then his total fielding was like negative. I don't really know what that means, but he had positive defense runs saved. So yeah, Jerks and profile. Oh yeah, 110 WRC plus.
Oh, there you go. So my number nine, and I didn't know this guy was a Pittsburgh Pirate now, but Connor Joe is going to be my number nine.
Mm,
And he was with the Colorado Rockies these last couple of years. He's already 30, which he was in
really?
the minors for a lot of his career, yeah. But he was a plus defensive outfielder. And even though the offensive numbers didn't show a whole lot, which is kind of a surprise because he's playing in Colorado, I really like the defensive side when it comes to outfielders, and that's what I kind of leaned on with a lot of these guys because, like we said, it's not a good list. So Connor Joe is going
Yeah.
to be my number nine spot, and you got Connor Joe in left field, and you got something Bay, remember in center field for the Pirates now, or no, I
Something
guess right
Bay.
field. Yeah, it's you remember the don't remember his first name. It's an Asian guy named Bay. Do
Oh, really?
you remember him at all?
No, it sounds familiar.
Yeah. So I said center field, but he'll probably be right field because you obviously have Brian Reynolds in center field.
Yeah. So listening to about Connor Joe, I had to pull up this page because I remember listening to just baseball show. They talked about his hitting. His I pulled up Baseball Savant and his percentile for average exit velocity. Guess what it is?
Well, it's probably not good, right?
Five. Fifth percentile. Hard hit percentage 16. A lot of blue on the hitting. He does
Uh-huh.
walk, so that's good. Has
Yeah.
good arm strength, but yeah, he's gonna not be good offensively. Okay. Anyway,
Mm.
back on track. My number 9 is Michael Brantley. There's a couple guys who I did put ahead of him just based on one, they're younger. I think they'll have more potential, and he's getting older, but he still rakes. He's always a guy I wish the Cardinals would have got whenever he left Cleveland because he just
Mhm.
hits really good. He'd been just perfect. But I think he went to Houston because they had the DH for longer. But as you said, batted 288, 370 on base, five homers, 26 RBIs. Didn't play that many games, but honestly, it's kind of crazy though to think that the Astros won the World Series and now they're gaining Michael Brantley as well, kind of as like a free agent because he really didn't play that much
Yes.
last year. And all he does is hit. He had a 1.3 WAR in 64 games, which is pretty good.
Mhm.
And he had a 127 WRC plus.
Wow.
Solid guy.
My number eight. My number eight is now the left fielder for the Chicago White Sox, Andrew Benintendi. Is now on
Oh,
his
dang it.
fourth
I guess
team.
one of my guys on here, I put him as a left fielder, but he may not be anywhere because Benintendi's there, but we're just going to stick with it.
Are you talking about Eloy?
Yes.
Eloy, I'm guessing he's going to be the DH. That was my
Yeah.
guess because he kind of fits that better than
Hmm.
Benintendi. But Benintendi was a Royal, then a Red Sox, or I guess a Red Sox and a Royal. Which way was it? Which one was he first?
He was a Red Sox, then he was a Royal, and then he
Then
was
a
White
Yankee,
Sox.
then a Yankee, and then
Oh yeah,
a White.
Yankee.
Yeah,
Yeah, he got
yeah.
Yankee last year.
He's a good player to be moving around a lot like that.
Hmm.
So I really like Andrew, and he was a star in at Arkansas in college, and I think he's still going to be a very productive player this year for the White Sox.
Yeah, so my number 9 is Eloy Jimenez. No, wait, 8. One,
Eight,
two.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Eloy Jimenez. I kind of forgot they got Andrew Benintendi, but hey, he may play some left field. I don't know.
You
Probably
will.
not.
I'm sure you
He's a
will.
terrible defender, but he can hit. Really his only downfall is he cannot stay on the field
Mhm.
as he has uh played 84 games last year. And the 2 years before that, he had 55 games. But in his 84 games, he hit 16 homers, 54 RBIs, 295 batting average, 358 on base, which is very good. Um, I just want to see his fielding. Only -2 defense runs saved, not terrible.
Mhm.
Um, and he had a 1.7 WAR in 84 games, which is not awful. And his WRC plus was the second highest on the list at 144. So he has a lot of potential, but being a DH, it may help him a lot more too. Completely forgot about that, but he's on my left fielder
No,
list.
being a DH is definitely going to help him stay on the field. I
Yeah.
would I would imagine. So my number seven is a guy that you and I both don't like, but Jock Peterson is my number seven on this list, and he really, I guess, all around, if you count homers, RBIs, average on base, like he had a really good year last year. Was an all star. Was he an all star starter, or was that just?
Yes, he was.
That's what I thought. Because that was a yeah. We didn't agree
Spoiler,
with
not
that.
on my list. He sucked. He had like a 1 WAR, and his defense
Yeah,
had like -20 defensive runs saved.
yeah. He's like he reminds me a lot of Kyle Schwarber in a lot of ways when it comes to all
Hmm.
or nothing. He did I wasn't it like a 270 average last year, something like that.
Yeah, I think it was
But
lower.
but I mean I had to put him in the top 10, and again I'm going to mention how awful this list is. But yeah, Jock Peterson's my number 7.
My number 7 is a guy who used to be number 1, and that is Christian Yelich. Uh, I do think he is going to have a bounce back year though. Uh, I think maybe he will be fully healthy. He did play 154 games last year, batted 252, 355 on base, 14 homers, 57 RBIs. Um, just hasn't been the same since he hurt his back. He had a 2.7 WAR. Like he's expected to be better than that. Um, his defense wasn't amazing either. He had like -2 defense runs saved, so probably below average. Uh, so I'm interested to see if he's going to be able to pick it up or if like he's just kind of going to slowly decline and just stay at this like 250 level. At least like he still walks and has a good on base and his OPS is above 700, but he's better than that. And I think he knows that. And his WRC plus is only 111 for a guy. I looked like before, like his peak years, it was like in the 170s. It was ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested to see how he does. Um,
He had a couple years there where that was like the best. You could make an argument. It was a couple of the best years that we've seen offensively in our lifetime. Like it was
mhm,
that good. He was a freak. He didn't make my list. I guess
really?
that might be a big. I don't know. I put Connor Joe over him,
Yeah,
so
that was a big mistake.
we might have
You're
some
telling me you'd
problems
have
there.
Connor Joe on your team over Christian Yelich?
Why not? My number 6 is Ian Happ of the Chicago Cubs, and Ian really kind of popped off last year after having a
Mhm.
couple years of really downward turn in his career. But I think I think he's gonna use last year to be more of that this year than what we saw beforehand. Um, but overall, I'm still not a huge guy on Ian Happ. A lot of people think he's like a going to be like a perennial all star. I'm not really with that at all. I think he strikes out way too much. But yeah, Ian Happ is my number 6.
My number 6 is the one that got away for us, Randy Rosarena. Uh, 2.8 WAR, batted 263, 20 homers, 89 RBIs. He was kind of the cleanup guy or main
Mm-hmm.
run producer guy for the Rays, which is kind of funny thinking Randy, who's 5'11, 185, is the main guy. But uh, yeah, 2 super consistent years, batting around the 270 ishes. He batted 274 the year before, 263 this year. Um, 20 home runs in both years exactly, just more RBIs this year. Uh, just been super consistent, super solid player. I think any team would like that. One downside he has is he was led the league in caught stealings both years in a row. He did have 32 steals, but he got caught 12 times, so it's not the greatest percentage. Uh, let me see how he did on defense. He had a negative 1.3 defensive WAR, so that's not ideal. Yeah, he had -4 defense front saved in left field. So not the greatest defender, but he rakes. And we know when it's uh when it's postseason time, he becomes like
Bruce.
Mickey Mantle. Yeah. Ridiculous.
My number five is he played a lot of right field last year, but I guess this year, all the things I'm seeing, he's going to be left fielder for the Los Angeles Angels, and that is Taylor Ward, who is 29 years
Mm,
old.
yeah,
Um,
he's for sure gonna be on my right fielder list.
yeah, I don't blame you. I see all the lists that I was doing some research on had him in left. I was trying to think if they had a pickup this year to put in right. I know they got Brandon Drury, but he's kind of a utility guy all over the place. So
Hmm.
I was trying to think about that, but outfield's tricky because those corner outfielder guys are like,
I know we should maybe next year we just do corner outfielders.
yeah, yeah, that would probably be the better route to go. But he is my number five, and I left him a little lower than some lists had him like three for left fielders, which seems really high
Yeah.
to me.
He had a really good year last
Um,
year.
a really good year, a really good year. He is 29, and it was kind of like out of nowhere type of thing. So that's why I'm not
Hmm.
all the way in on the hype yet, but I still think you have to respect what he did last year, and he is going to be my number five.
Um, oh, they got Hunter Renfro.
That yep, there you go.
Yep. Yeah, he should be on my list, but he's gonna be on right field, I guess, with possibly Hunter Renfro. I don't know. Uh, so my number five is a guy you mentioned earlier. That's Andrew Benintendi. He hit 304, one of the best like hitters. Um, 5 homers, 51 RBIs, just hits, super consistent. 373 on base, perfect guy to have in the top of your order or the middle. Really, he was an all star that last year as well. Um, and he also his defense is not bad. In 2021, he won the Gold Glove in left field, and this year he had, let me find it, two defense run saves, so like kind of around average, a little above. So like a guy who hits 300, plays good defense, I'd take him on my team. So
Mhm.
uh, yeah, super consistent, super good, and he had a 122 WRC plus, so super solid, over average, 22%, better than average.
He's a good player, man. I think he's
Yeah,
underrated. I
yeah,
definitely
I
think he's
agree.
underrated. My number four is the one that got away, Randy Arozarena. And like you said, he did get caught 12 times stealing, but he did have 32. So that dude's just running all over the place. But it kind of surprised me that his defense was slightly negative because he's
Yeah.
such a good athlete. And left field's not a super taxing position to
Uh-huh.
field. Yeah, I'm going to put him at my number four spot. And like you said, we're big time run producer for the Rays and still in his late 20s, like 27, 28, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I like myself some Randy Rosarena.
So my number four is our guy Tyler O'Neill. Last year was not good at all. 14 homers, 58 RBIs, 228 batting average, 308 on base. Um, yeah, not good at all, really.
Mhm.
1.3 WAR, only played 96 games. Uh, his defense was still not even near as good as it was in 2021. He only had one defense run saved. My thing with O'Neill, it's I love him, but he just not consistently stays on the field. And some of
Mhm.
these other guys, I was like, their last year's was just so much more consistent. Like you have more like hope, like yeah, it's for like more likely to happen. Both O'Neill, I have no idea if he's gonna have a 2021 year, only play 50 games.
Mm-hmm.
or have a year like last year, play. I don't know. I have no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And so honestly, the sad thing is if O'Neal gets hurt and our man Jordan Walker comes up and just starts raking.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I have no idea. Wait, let
Tyler's
me
a
say his
guy.
WRC plus real quick.
Uh-huh.
It was 101 last year, not good. But in 2021, it was 141. So hopefully we can get back to that.
I'm gonna keep my Tyler rant. I'm gonna hold back for just a second. My number three is a guy that on TikTok I got roasted for not loving more, and that's Stephen
Hmm.
Kwan at my number three spot. The dude has no power whatsoever, but he does everything else pretty dang good. And so, coming off a tremendous rookie year, I think he's gonna build off that for 2023. I'm gonna put him at my number three spot. Um, and I'm kind of interested in your top three here.
Number three is Ian Happ for me. He just played super consistent,
You're
17 homers,
expecting a
72.
cubby?
Yeah. I had to I can't the stats don't lie. Um
Okay.
he won the gold glove last year too. Going a gold glove outfielder going along with 271 batting average, 341 on base, 17 homers, 72 RBIs. That's like super solid outfielder. And he was an all-star last year. As much as I don't like him, he did really good. And he had a 4.4 WAR, a good defensive WAR too. Yeah, hopefully he sucks this year though.
My
And he kills the Cardinals.
he does kill the Cardinals. My left fielder number 2 for 2023. Again, for 2023, it's what I predict is Tyler O'Neill, and I think he's going to come back to closer to what he was. Like you said, it all comes down to staying on the field for Tyler O'Neill. Can he stay healthy? I'm going to bet on that he does stay healthy. He's going to be my number 2 left fielder.
I hope so. So my this was my number one left fielder, but before we had him on Soto, and that is Stephen Kwan. Uh
Mm-hmm.
batted 298, um, gold glove, stole 19 bags, 6 homers, 52 RBIs. Uh only struck out 60 times and 563 at bats. It's pretty good. Really low on strikeout percentage, high on walk percentage, super fast, great defender. Just I would love him to. He's like the best leadoff hitter you could ask for, and
Oh
just
yeah.
just such a good player. Super. I still think he's underrated, and he had a WRC plus of 124, which is pretty solid for a guy who doesn't hit for a lot of power. So I'm
Awesome.
interested to see if he does try to hit for more power, get stronger, or just stay with just spraying the ball around and just having Jose Ramirez just drive you in.
Yeah, seriously. And then my number one is Juan Soto, who's going to be
Yeah.
playing, I guess, his really first full year in left field.
Yeah.
We had to kind of discuss that off air
If he
because
was in right field, he would be for me.
he's still up there, but that's a crazy position.
Yeah, they got all these guys. He'd probably be like honestly kind of around five-ish. I'll
That's
say it.
crazy. That's crazy because Juan Soto is a tremendous talent. But with Bogarts playing shortstop, they're probably going to move Tatis to right field. You and I agreed. Soto deserves to be in the left field spot, but he's my number one, and I really don't need to talk about him. He's that
Mm-mm.
unbelievably good.
5.6 WAR in a down season. Um, as we know, an elite defender, Gold Glove finalist. Not he's
Mm-hmm.
an awful defender, and we all know it.
So
But
bad.
Gold Glove's kind of a hitting award. But yeah, he's my number one too. He hit, oh my gosh, 27 homers, 62 RBIs. He walks. His walking is just ridiculous.
It
He
really
he
is.
walked 135 times, 401 on base percentage, even though he batted 242. He doesn't strike out that much. Uh, yeah, I'm interested to see how he does this year. Maybe getting more comfortable in San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm looking at his stats in the two previous years. In 2021, he had a 465 on base percentage, and in the COVID year, he had a 490. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's absolutely unbelievable. So yeah, you and I agree. Juan Soto Number one, everybody else really is not good. I'm hoping Tyler O'Neill puts it together and has one of those monster
Same.
years again. For those of you that don't know, we are kind of on a time crunch tonight. It's kind of late on the East Coast and even late on my time too. So we're gonna speed up here with our top 10 center fielders. I think to make it quicker, we could just individually just say our top 10, just like run through them real
Okay.
quick
Okay.
instead of bouncing back and forth.
Okay.
I can go first though. My number 10 is the former Cardinal Harrison Bader.
Mm.
So reliable
I have one guy
defensively.
in here that you're gonna be like, whoa, but go ahead.
Okay, all right. Maybe because my number nine's a whoa. That's
Okay.
we'll
Okay.
see. But no, Harrison Bader's so good defensively, and so far this spring has been hitting the heck out of the ball. Apparently, my number nine is Corbin Carroll for the Arizona
Yeah, you got me.
Diamondbacks. Okay, so I think he has like 20 games under his belt or something ridiculously low,
Hmm.
but I think he can really pop off this year. A great
He's very
prospect
fast.
for Arizona. My number eight is Brandon Nimmo of the New York
Oh,
Mets.
you put
I
him really
know
low.
I put him very low. People are not going to like
I
that.
put him higher than
So
that.
my number seven is Luis Robert for the Chicago White Sox. Another White Sox makes our list. And Luis, again, just stay healthy, man. He is a freak athlete, a guy that I wish the Cardinals had. My number six is Cedric Mullins of the Baltimore Orioles. Absolutely love Cedric.
Don't put this guy who I think you're going to be number five.
What's that?
Just keep going.
Okay. My number five is Michael Harris of the Atlanta Braves. I kind of put Michael a little low. You're giving me some facial expressions there, so I guess you had him higher.
Hmm. I'm
But no,
interested
Mike,
who your top four is.
it's interesting for sure. But no, Michael Harris is my number five. My number four is Brian Reynolds of the
Okay.
Pittsburgh Pirates. I really like Brian Reynolds, and honestly, in 2020 he was a very much plus defender. In 2022, absolutely awful defender, like minus 16 defensive runs saved, which is kind of
He was
like
bad just by
like
eye test too.
yes, which is like night and day because I always thought he was a good defender. My number three, Byron Buxton, one of the
Hmm.
most frustrating players in baseball, just cannot put it together for some
Pretty
reason.
sure I saw him on a target here in
Um,
Jacksonville, but I should have went up
right?
to him.
Yeah. When it comes to health, that's a big issue for him. When it comes to hitting for average, that's a big issue. And he only had six stolen bases last year. So maybe Brian Reynolds, maybe he's overrated. I don't know. I don't know. That's a discussion for another time. My number two is coming off a rookie of the year, Julio Rodriguez. Got to put him number two because we all know who number one is, and that's arguably the GOAT, Mike Trout. Again, another guy. Just please stay healthy. Please stay
Casually hits
healthy.
40 homers in 119
I know.
games.
It's unreal.
Good
It's
God.
unreal. But yeah, that's my top 10. What you got?
Uh, so yeah, there's one guy you left out, which I was very surprised because you love him so much. Probably give him a kiss on the lips. And my honorable first, I'll do my honorable mention, Harrison Bader, and my number 10 is that guy, and that's Jazz Chisholm, who you love.
Oh, yeah.
Um, I put him at 10 because what I've seen in spring training, he's not been great in the outfield so far.
Hmm.
2.4 WAR last year, only played like not that many games, but has that power, 14 homers, speed, 254 batting average. So interested to see how he does in center as Miami's like making everyone change positions over there. So that'll be interesting. Number 9, Corbin Carroll. Very excited to see him. He's very fast. He also had a 1.1 WAR last year and 32 games. So that's pretty good. Uh,
Dang.
that's really good. Um,
Very.
my number 8 is Cedric Mullins. I've huge Cedric Mullins fan. I just love him. He's just super consistent hitting and just speed wise too. Had 34 steals, had 16 homers, 64 RBIs, 258 batting average, 318 on base. Hopefully gets more back to the 2021 Cedric Mullins, where he hit 30 homers. And he's a pretty good defender too, I believe. He had, 5 defense runs saved. My number 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, is a guy who, if he stays healthy, in my opinion, he could be top 3 easy, and that is Luis Robert. He has all the tools. He batted 284, 319 on base, 12 homers, 56 RBIs, and only 98 games. Like that's pretty good. And then the year before that, he had 330. 8, but as every White Sox player, they cannot stay healthy. 98 games was his most games, so maybe he'll get over 100 this year. That'd be cool. And he's a pretty solid defender, I believe. He won a Gold Glove his rookie year. I've always liked him. My number 6 is Brian Reynolds. Um, I almost put Luis Robert above him, but Brian Reynolds just hits so consistent. 27 homers, 62 RBIs, 262 batting average, on base 345. But his defense is not good at all. And he only had a 2.9 WAR for hitting that good. I guess his defense was just so bad as he had negative 14 defense runs saved. My number 5 is a player who I think is the most overrated player in baseball, and that's Brandon Nimmo. Um, hey, you actually played a full season last year. I'll give you some credit. You probably won't be able to do it this year. You'll get hurt, but you batted 274, 367 on base. Respect the on base percentage. 16 homers, 64 RBIs. And I believe he was like a solid defender, nothing great. Yeah, negative 3 defense run save. So, as I said, just a solid, just an average player, nothing spectacular at all. Just middle of the line is, yeah, just not good. Um, uh, and then my number 4, Michael Harris, just 5.3 WAR, 297 batting average, 19 homers, rookie season, played 114 games and had a 5.3 WAR. Um, oh my god, I can't find his batting because it's only like one line. I can't find 333
Mm-hmm.
on base, 20 stolen bases as well in only 114 games. So he could be a 30-30 guy, really. One rookie of the year, and he's an elite defender, had 8 defensive runs saved. Uh, very fun player. Excited to see how he does this year. Number 3, my top 3 is exactly as yours. Byron Buxton, glass man. That's what we should call him. He just gets hurt, but he's only played over 100 games once. Um, and last year, man, if he could just stay healthy, he could put a crazy, crazy year together.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, 28 homers, 51 RBIs, 224 average, 306 on base, which is not that good. I
Mm-hmm.
guess his batting average on base isn't the greatest, but I don't know why he doesn't steal as many bases. He should be faster than that, but
I know.
hey, but great defender, as we know. Had 8 defense runs saved. Number 2, Julio Rodriguez, I think solidified himself as number 2. 6.2 WAR, 284 batting average, 28 home runs as a rookie. So that's pretty crazy. Um, 75 RBIs, 25 stolen bases. I think he's going to be a 30 for 30 guy for sure this year, especially with the pitch clock and everything. Um, OPS 853, one rookie of the year, obviously, 7th at MVP voting. His defense was really good too. 3 defense run save, which I think coming up he wasn't actually a center fielder, but I could be mistaken. And then number 1 could go down as the greatest player of all time. Just please play 162 games. I would do anything to have him do that. Uh, but hopefully it
Anything?
does because he could put up like 50 homers, which would be ridiculous. Batted 283, 40 bombs, 80 RBIs. Just such a good player, and he's still solid defensively, which is awesome. Honestly, the most beautiful swing ever. Yeah, that's my top 10.
It's very interesting with him and Buxton. They both have like eliminated stealing bases, which I find
Mm,
very interesting. I don't know if that's a health thing or if it's what it
yeah,
is, analytical type study or something. But what? Um, but yeah, I love the Brandon Nimmo hate halfway through. You gotta love it. But thank you guys for
have to.
listening. Next episode, we will have our right fielders and DHs for episode 82. Be on the lookout for another interview this week coming out on Friday. But we will see you guys next time.
See you guys.